talk about the Oscars, and you want to know who's getting nominated, who isn't getting nominated this year, right? Uh, if if the answer is no, then just go with it. Anyway, I've done some working, a little bit of research over the past week, and I can now tell you which films will, and which actors and actresses, and which films are going to get rewarded with Oscar nominations, which ones aren't. I can tell you at this point last year that I ended up getting 85% of those correct on the big categories. So maybe I know a little something that other people may not. Just a quick heads up. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our Oscar nomination thingy. As you can see, we're taking a look at the 2022. Sorry. As you can see, we're taking a look at the 2022 Oscar nominations. My name is Tickets Please Reviews. How you doing? Let's set a few ground rules real quick. I'm not listing the films or actors and actresses by alphabetical order, but in my opinion, the odds of them making the cut. I will try to feature spoilers where if something does not go right with and somebody doesn't end up getting nominated, hopefully I'll have on there somebody that will be taking their place. As for the end, where the final count nominations, that's probably gonna come in a future video tomorrow, probably. Anyway, here we go. Let's take a look. Starting with Best Picture. As you can see, I think there are several films that have already been considered pretty much locks from the word go, and that's The Power of the Dog, Belfast, and Dune. Behind it are several other films that probably will be making the cut. Licorice Pizza, King Richard, Coda, West Side Story, Don't Look Up. And this leaves room for two films. This year they're doing 10 films for Best Picture, meaning there's always room for a surprise or something. In my estimation, based on the number of international voters that are part of the Academy, I think Drive My Car is going to be one of the films that makes the cut. As for the other, I'm going with Nightmare Alley, but I'm not really sure about that one. I know it's gotten some love from the guilds, and that could make a difference. But at the same time, there's a couple other there's a couple of spoilers, like I said. Tick Tick Boom, musical about a guy trying to overcome his fears of not being able to make it at the age of 30 as a musician, and Being the Ricardos, which is a biopic about Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. As they take a look at the week on set of I Love Lucy, I think those are the ones that are probably miss out at the end. I could be wrong, though. Anyway, let's take a look at Best Actor, which will be next. I think right now, if you had to pick, Will Smith and Benedict Cumberbatch are probably the favorites for King Richard and Power of the Dog. Andrew Garfield has been mentioned by pretty much everybody in Tick Tick Boom, and I think he'll definitely make the cut as well. After that, it's a bit more dicey. I do think the fact that you have a veteran actor doing Shakespeare means that Denzel Washington will make the cut as a nominee. As for the last one, I'm going to lean towards a bit of a surge for Javier Bardem and Being the Ricardos as Desi Arnaz. But I think both Peter Dinklage and Leonardo DiCaprio do have shots as well. So it's definitely one of those that you just have to stay tuned for. Now on to Best Actress, where we have Nicole Kidman from Being the Ricardos and Olivia Colman from The Lost Daughter probably being the two favorites. Lady Gaga and House of Gucci, although that film's been sort of mixed critically, I do think she will make the cut here. I do think a late surge for Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers will pay off as she makes the cut. And last, it's just a gut instinct I have, but I think Kristen Stewart will end up getting a nomination for Spencer. She'll end up ahead of Jennifer Hudson for Respect and Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. But I do think realistically it's definitely going to be a toss-up for that last category. But I don't think it's as unsettled as the next category, which is Best Supporting Actor. And this is the one where I think things could get really crazy. Now, let's start with the fact that Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog and Troy Kotsur for Coda, they're probably in. After that, there are multiple scenarios that could happen. Like, for example, we could have a repeat of the SGAs where nobody from Belfast gets nodded. We could see Bradley Cooper splitting the votes between Licorice Pizza and which was basically an extended cameo, and Nightmare Alley, where he's up for Best Actor, and it could easily turn out that he doesn't make it either. So what I'm saying is this may be the category where we have a surprise, like maybe a Lakeith Stanfield who showed up last year for Judas and the Judas and the Black Messiah, where he was actually supposed to be up for Best Actor, but for some reason he ended up getting enough votes as a supporting actor. He made the cut. So, like I said, I feel like this could be probably more flexible than the other categories, but what I think will happen, Ciarán Hinds will probably get a nod for Belfast. As for the other guy, Jamie Dornan, I think maybe it's going to be more like, to use an analogy, his version of Kristen Stewart's The Clouds of Sils Maria, a performance that kind of rehabs and shows that this guy is actually capable of more than being on 50 Shades of Grey. But I don't think it's going to lead to a nomination. Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza, I think he will get the nod. As for the last one, when in doubt, go with somebody that's on a bit of a roll of late, and I think that will be J.K. Simmons for being the Ricardos. People who I think won't make it, but, well, they got a puncher's chance. Jesse Plemons in The Power of the Dog and Jared Leto for House of Gucci. Now we head to Best Supporting Actors, where I think the heavy favorite has to be Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. And pretty much everybody's gotten Catriona Balfe for Belfast and Kirsten Dunst from The Power of the Dog. So I think those two are probably fine. Fourth, Ajanu Ellis for King Richard. I think she will make the cut at the end. And I do think Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter will probably be the final nominee. But I do think at the same time, the last one, there are several other capable actresses that could make the cut here, but for some reason or another, whether it's being sort of in a film that I think doesn't really have a lot of juice, or being in a film that kind of failed, or just sort of serving as a fourth or fifth option in a film that was wildly successful, I don't think they're going to make the cut. But then again, Oscar could hold some surprises on Tuesday, so who knows? All right, now we've gotten that. Now we're going to go into the written word, which is our scripts and screenplays. Let's start with the best original screenplay, where I think we're going to have a surprise here. Belfast, Don't Look Up, Licorice Pizza, and Being the Ricardos, I feel pretty good that they're going to make the cut here. Veteran directors, veteran screenwriters. Then you got to have somebody who I think is going to be from a film that doesn't make a cut anywhere else, and I think I would lean towards Come On as being that one. I'm serving as spoilers will be King Richard, the French Dispatch, which yes I know has a full name, which I won't mention. Mass and Peg. At the end of the day, I think that would probably take care of that. Because usually you have somebody showing up for there and absolutely no place else. Sort of like the White Tiger or sort of like the White Tiger from last year. And it's like a whole history of somebody from a screenplay being nominated for something that doesn't make the cut anywhere else. Anyway, from there we're going to go to Best Adapted Screenplay, where I think The Power of the Dog is going to be in the mix. Lost Daughter and Coda, Dune are pretty much sure things, and Drive My Car I think will end up getting the fifth and final nod. Films that serve as a spoiler: West Side Story, Passing of the Tragedy of Macbeth, all of whom can't be completely discounted, but I think at the end of the day, I feel fairly good that what you see up there is probably what's going to happen. Now we're going to head to the sets and craft stuff. That's going to be stuff like production design, makeup, hair, all that good stuff. We'll kick things off with the best production design itself. And I think for a lot of these categories, you could probably pencil in Dune as probably making the cut. Along there, you got The French Dispatch, West Side Story, Nightmare Alley, and I think Tragedy Macbeth will get the final nod ahead of Cyrano and Belfast. And that will, of course, lead us to the next category, which would be Best Costume Design, where I think, once again, Dune's got to be a bit of a favorite, along with Cruella. And then you throw in Nightmare Alley, dealing with the basically remake of a 1950s film noir. West Side Story, which of course is a remake of the 1960s musical. And The House of Gucci, which, well, is dealing with the story of the Gucci family, which is known for its fashion. And I think those five are going to make the cut ahead of The French Dispatch, Cyrano, and Licorice Pizza. And from there, we're going to go into the best makeup and hairstyling, where I think Dune will once again show up as Cruella. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which of course is dealing with the story of the wife of the evangelist wife, Tammy Faye Baker, and things they got to deal with. And that's going to make the cut. The House of Gucci will be there. And I think the last one's probably going to Nightmare Alley. And they'll end up ahead of West Side Story, Cyrano, The Suicide Squad, and No Time to Die. Which, I'll be honest with you, this could end up becoming a bit of a hot mess, but we'll see what happens on Tuesday morning. And from here, we're going to go into the visual stuff. This will be like the film editing, the visual effects, etc., etc. And we're going to kick things off with Best Cinematography, where I think Dune is going to be the slight favorite ahead of Nightmare Alley, which of course was directed by Guillermo del Toro, and The Power of the Dog, which of course is a Jane Campion directed work. The Tragedy of Macbeth, which is directed by Joe Cohen, and Steven Spielberg's West Side Story will probably round out the field. Belfast is the film that could play spoiler, but probably not. Now on to film editing, where The Power of the Dog should be in the mix. This is a category you need to look at if you're trying to determine which film might end up taking home Best Picture Oscar because usually these are the films that show up on both. I mean, if they show up here, odds are pretty good they got a good chance of winning Best Picture. So The Power of the Dog will be there as long as, as well as Dune. Don't Look Up, the Adam McKay comedy about the comet and basically everyone just acting like complete and utter idiots. Belfast, Kenneth Branagh's take on the Irish troubles of the 1960s, and West Side Story. I think the five of them are gonna end up ahead of King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and No Time to Die, which I don't think is seriously going to be a contender for Best Picture, but it might have a slight shot at maybe taking the 10th slot. We'll have to see. And finally, the best visual effects. These are going to be your blockbusters. You got your Dune here. First time we see Spider-Man, No Way Home. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The James Bond, No Time to Die ends up showing up here. Not going to be the last time you'll see that one. And Godzilla vs. Kong, I think, will be the final spot ahead of the Matrix Resurrections, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now we head on here to the best audio. That's going to be your scores, your best song, and best sound, which is what we're going to tackle first. Now last year they made the bold decision to take both the two sound categories and merge them into one. And I think it's something that probably was the right call here. I mean, it was pretty confusing for everybody when they had to vote on two separate categories. Here we got Dune once again, along with No Time to Die, West Side Story, Spider-Man No Way Home. As you can see, we got a mix of musicals and blockbusters. The last one I think will be Tick Tick Boom. And they'll end up ahead of The Power of the Dog, A Quiet Place 2, and Belfast. Now we take a look at Best Original Score. Dune, which was scored by Hans Zimmer, probably is going to be the slight favorite. But of course, The Power of the Dog by Johnny Greenfield is probably in the mix as well. Don't Look Up, which should also make it, as does Encanto, but it's the last one, is going to be a bit of a crapshoot. I'm going to go with The French Dispatch, but it could be Spencer, Parallel Mothers, or No Time to Die. Any of them actually do have a shot here. And now we head on to the Best Original Song, which this may be one of the safest bets of the Oscars because No Time to Die, the theme song of the most recent James Bond film done by Billie Eilish, is the heavy favorite here. I also think it's going to be Just Look Up, which is going to probably cause a lot of hemming and hawing among the Fox Nation, especially when they find out what the lyrics are of this one. Dos Oruguitas, which is from Encanto, which happens to be a song by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is trying to go for the EGOT. I don't think he gets there yet, but... And then we also throw in Somehow You Do, which is the latest song by none other than multiple Oscar nominee, and she's yet to win, sadly enough. Diane Warren. And last but not least will be Down to Joy, which is from Belfast. When in doubt, go with the film from a leading Academy Award nominee for Best Picture. And I think that's going to end up going ahead of the husband and wife team of Jay-Z and Beyonce, whose songs Guns Go Bang from The Harder They Fall and Be Alive from King Richard will not make the cut. Here I Am from Jennifer Hudson's Respect, which of course is a biography of Aretha Franklin, and so may we start from Annette. I think they will miss as well, but it's possible that any of them could end up in that fourth, or even fifth spot. I do feel like the first three are pretty safe, though. And now we're going to take a look at the best films other than Best Picture. These are going to be the animated films, the documentaries, and the international films. Let's hope you're able to keep up with those subtitles. Anyway, let's start with animated film, where I think Encanto is probably going to make the cut. Flea, of course, the animated documentary that's going to try to go for 3 nominations here. We'll see if they actually pull it off here. We'll find out on Tuesday for sure. Luca, which I believe is from Pixar. The Mitchells versus the Machines, which ended up on Netflix. And Raya and the Last Dragon, which came out earlier in 2021. I think my gut says this is probably pretty safe. If anything goes, it's probably Raya. And it could be in favor of Studio Ghibli's Bella or Sing 2. Which I think is going to be which could be the blockbuster spoiler here. But I think those 5 are pretty safe. I feel more confident about them than I do the shorts. I'll say that right now. Now we head on to Best Documentary. You're going to notice a surprise here. I think Flea will make the cut under that as well, along with The Rescue, which is a bit of a thrilling documentary. Then you have Ascension from MTV, Attica, and Simple Like Water. I think those are your 5. Spoilers, Summer of Soul, which is not going to make the cut here. And I know this is a huge shock, but documentaries, sometimes they don't nominate the film. The Academy doesn't nominate films that kind of break free and break through. And they also tend to have issues with musical documentaries, which is why it's more often than not. I think I think ultimately that film is not going to have a single nomination when all is said and done. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. Also not making it will be Julia, which of course is a documentary about Julia Child, and Procession, which happens to be ended up on Netflix, I think, a couple months ago. And I think those are your 5. And then finally, we're going to take a look at international film. Another surprise is happening here, but I think your heavy favorite has to be Drive My Car. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, but I think it'll win here. Flea, I think, has a shot, but probably not a great one. And then we throw in A Hero. This is by the same director that did A Separation, The Worst Person in the World, which actually did kind of decently in the box office, considering it's a film from Denmark. And then finally, I think it's going to be Lunana, A Yak in a Classroom. I think spoilers, you notice I did not mention Paolo Sorrentino's The Hand of God. I know he's kind of a heavy favorite because of the great beauty and everything, but somehow I'm thinking it might be a bit too slight to make the cut. Also, I think in the mix is compartment number 6. We'll just have to see what the Academy chooses. And now, last but not least, we're going to take a look at the shorts. Of course, it's going to come under animated, documentary, and live action. Let's start with the animated shorts. Couple big hitters here. Us Again from Disney. It is probably going up against Robin from Netflix. Namu. I think Namu, Step Into the River, and Mama's Pouring Rain ends up getting the final nominations here. I do have probably a few more spoilers than I said I was going to, but to be honest with you, the shorts category is going to be a major crapshoot, so you might as well have more spoilers. Beastia, The Windshield Wiper, and Box Belly, I think, are in the mix, and there may be other films I haven't mentioned that could end up here, so we'll have to see. All right, on to the best documentary short. I think The Queen of Basketball encoded the hidden love of J.C. Leyendecker, which is about a forgotten pioneer of the LGBTQ movement, and Terror Contagion. I think those three are the ones I feel most confident about. After that, I would lean towards Audible and Three Songs for Benazir, but to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of confidence in those two. It could easily be A Broken House, Day of Rage, or Sophie and the Baron that ends up nabbing those last two spots. And best live action short, again, a complete crapshoot. When the Sun Sets and The Long Goodbye are probably the most likely. Since Her Dreams is, I have a little bit of confidence that'll be there, but after that, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Your Dead Elaine and Alu Kachu taking run as your final two, ahead of Television Under the Heavens and Please Hold. Again, like with the other shorts, there could be somebody that shows up out of nowhere taking a spot. I have no clue, but I'm doing it for emphasis of completion. All right, and here we go. This is where I take a turn towards you on YouTube. So why don't you tell me what you think? Which films do you think I underplayed and overplayed? Is there films you think that will end up making it that I completely missed the ball on? Or do you think I did a fairly good job? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and spread the word. We'll see you next time here on Tickets Please Reviews, as the ticket booth is now closed.